Sharing Knowledge, Wisdom by Philip Barrow.
Emerald Order.
Philip is sharing knowledge wisdom. Having more knowledge helps us to shift our mind, body, spirit, and our perception and our vibration. This helps us to be a better version of ourselves. Please note, this is only for entertainment purposes. Ignore what you do not resonate with. Please do your own research and find your own truth. We all learn at different stages. There is no right or wrong. Service to others, forgiveness, being at peace, self-love are all keys to ascension.
About Philip Barrow. He is a shamanic, credited healer and teacher, a walk-in from birth, born in 1965, a Andromeda starseed, a Emerald child, assigned by the Emerald Order as ground crew for ascension and raising the Earth vibration.
Philip started his healing abilities in childhood. He uses many different modalities, techniques to heal, teach. He loves doing card readings after a healing session. He has advanced knowledge in Reiki, and he enjoys creating sounds for healing.
During a healing session, he connects with other higher beings from all higher dimensions and realms. He also connects with the goddesses of the earth, healing sea, Mother Father, God Creator Source, dragon energies, Akashic records, Christ consciousness, crystal energies, and with the person's higher self and their guides during the healing. He also can break spells and remove demonic energies and much more.
Most his life he has been volunteering at healing centers, and he still continues to do healings teachings on a regular basis. Phil is very passionate about raising the earth frequencies, vibrations, and raising humanity's Christ consciousness.
Philip also works with Deb Purcell. From healteachlove.org, they cover all healing requests. Follow Philip on YouTube for further amazing videos. For spiritual information, follow Philip on Facebook group, Global Lightworkers, Heal and Teach Keys and Codes.
We work to serve the light with unconditional love.
By fallen Elohim. It's like, let's get it straight already. Before these guys that are channeling stuff, telling us that Anu were the ancient gods, bow down to these guys, don't do this. These are Elohim families. Elohim, we can love Elohim, but we can say, excuse me, there is something higher. And if you aren't teaching me about ascension directly, you're withholding something from me that you know about, and that means you have an agenda here. What is your agenda? We need to start interacting intelligently with what's happening here, because we're having contact. Now, here's where we'll get to understand where indigos come in, okay? Not so much over here right now. We have the Anu in harmonic 3 out of the Elohim. We have, in the good guy, Sarah's families, the Sarahs, Seraphite families, the Sarahs and the Sarahs, which later crossed with the Syrian blues and got involved with our Egyptian lines to recalibrate the gene code in our race to some degree. They're trying to help us. Now here, there are several race strains created in different reality systems. Like when we have Pleiadians talking to us through channels and that kind of stuff now, they're not just Pleiadians, it's like Earthians. There's a lot of different people here, you know? When you're talking to Pleiadians, are you talking to the good ones? Are you talking to the draconian ones? Which ones are you talking to? We need to be able to ask these questions. Okay, when the harmonic 3 on Hazi came down and created their versions of races down here, they created the Azarites, the blue race. We ended up with this family line here through the Hibernians, creating Anunnaki. We took Hibernians, we combined them with some of the draconian matrices over there, and we ended up with the Dracos Anunnaki here. We ended up with, there's actually an Anunnaki strain that came in with these, which was a little different than the basic Anu pattern. But when you deal with Anu instead of Anahazi, Anus are the ones that became the Anunnaki lines. They became very twisted up with the dark sun, the black sun matrices. And it's not that one group of consciousness is good, one is bad. It's that one has its ascension codes and its ability to cognate the law of one and to therefore act humanely and lovingly, and the other has lost the ability to do that. And you don't lay yourself down before them and say, well, because you're higher evolution, go ahead, lead me. Because remember sharks. Sharks don't think about their food. They just eat it, okay? We are energy systems down here. And the ones from higher evolution that are messed up perceive us like sharks perceive food. That's all. They don't realize we have something else besides that to offer. They don't care. We need to understand these things, what's going on, because it's affecting the indigo drama right now. It's also affected our ancient stellar history forever and ever. When we come down in Harmonic 2, our race strain goes into the Sirian and Palladians. They were seated in both the Harmonic 2 Sirian and Palladian race, planetary systems. The Azurites, which were the blue hominid that came out of the Anahazi, white, Syrian whites. Okay, then there was various race strains that came down here. Out of there, when we get down to about here, this was the Emerald Order. They're called Orifeme. This is where the experiment was done to try to take the coding, the primary coding of all the other interstellar races, put it into the basic Emerald Order imprint to create a new hominid line that the consciousness that was stuck in the other forms could build up codes enough to evolve into. So it could evolve out of the time matrix through what would become the human pattern. The first level of the human pattern started in Harmonic 2 with the Emerald Order Orifeme. And Or refers to light. These were good guys. They had 30 to 48 strand capacity, that Emerald Sun matrix. Then they created a little smaller version of themselves in Harmonic 2 still, plain old Orifeme. Okay? They had 24 to 30 strand capacity. Yeah, reduced it a little bit. Into the Orifeme were seated the Turanicium, which were the 12 imprints from the other stellar races, and it created the full Turanicium 1 race. That's where it became Turanicium. Orifeme became Turanicium and human by adding the other patterns of the 12 races that needed help in their evolution. So we have the Turaniciums created now. Out of those came two primary divisions, and this is the story is told in the Secrets of Amente book a bit, where again the Anunnaki ones from over here and from over there, the middle guys and the really bad guys, interbred with some of the Turanicium, interbred with some of the Orifeme, which means you create some really high-coded, nasty beings. Yeah, there's a lot of heavy artillery created in the negative side by combining some of these very high-coded races with the distorted races. Like the Azrael, they were actually avian, getting the wing things from the Seraphi lines. They were blue, and they became with the Dark Angels in our history. They were the real negative dark angels that have messed with us for a very long time. So I showed some extra stuff that I don't have to cover here today on these charts, just so you see where some of the pieces fit. So if you hear somebody channeling Palladians, put up your Maharic seal, that pillar of light, before you go in, just in case they're transmitting frequencies that you don't want in your flashline sequences. Okay, now we get down here again. Orifeme came from Emerald Order, Orifeme, Turanicium. Turaniciums got messed up with the Anunnaki coding and became two races. They split into one that went into a reptilian type of human called the Bellicudium, and another that was a purified version, bringing the codes back to what the Orifeme were supposed to be, which is called the Adami Kudman. That was the pattern used, the Adami races. This is where stories of Adam come from. The Adami races were created. They were restructuring the imprint again and seeding it in 12 small pieces down here in Harmonic 1. So the imprint could re-evolve down here, then we'd evolve back into the Adami Kudman, then we'd evolve into the Turanicium, then into the Orifeme, Emerald Order, Orifeme. We progress all the way up to get our ascension codes back. When we understand this progression here, we can begin to understand where indigo children fit. Okay, we have indigo children here. These are a hybrid experiment that's taking place once again. Because we have the higher ones of higher evolution realizing that right now we have some of these guys and those guys coming in here trying to hijack evolution. They're doing hybridization programs. Some of the UFO abduction stuff are by the negative groups. And they are trying to create hybrid versions of themselves to take over this place. Because they have the ability to do that if they want to. If there was no intervention, the human race on this planet would be hijacked again, completely out of its 12-strand capacity, forget its higher strand capacity. So there are arrangements being made where some of the negative sides are deciding they don't want to be so negative after all, and they're asking for help from some of the lighter sides. So there's negotiations being made all up and down the interdimensional scale. This is when the angels choose what side they're on. You know?
Once the Emerald Order fell, then our belief in everything fell as well. So that's where the abandonment comes from, the not trusting, the betrayal, and it's deep. It's just multi-level, right? But we're working on it bit by bit. So if some of that comes up through these portals, through like the new moon, the full moon, or any of these major portals, just know that the deeper level of it is on a soul level and a DNA level for us as a species. So we're being given the gift back to be included in that high frequency Emerald Order as well. Okay. All right. What else did they want me to share with you? So for Starseeds and 144,000 and light workers, we are being realigned with our missions as part of the Emerald Order and using the new Emerald Flame. We're building up your frequency and your energy to prepare for the Lion's Gate, the 8-8 portal, and the 9-9 portal. So again, with the twin flames, everyone's on a different journey. Everyone is still part of course, a collective, but every individual twin flame union or divine partner union is on a different journey, both individually. And there'll be a buildup of more reunions as we head towards the Lionscape. Okay. All right. I got a little message from Merlin to share with you all today. We are the Emerald Flame. So forgive yourself and align with your origins from the source to be returned to the Emerald Flame and the Emerald Order. And so it is. Yeah. So Raphael was the original archangel that came in. That's what I wanted to share. So what they showed me today was they are the gatekeepers for these rays beyond the matrix. And they come in different forms to us depending on where we are in our journey. Sometimes it's Raphael with the Emerald Ray. Sometimes it's Raziel. Sometimes it's the Emerald Green Dragon or the unicorns that associate with that ray. Sometimes it's the goddesses that work with that ray. And sometimes it's Raziel as well. So isn't that interesting? Isn't that fascinating, right?
One, he talks about the ability to manifest stone through conscious thought and cymatic frequencies. He uses the light from his own being, right? So he's using conscious light waves and what? Cymatic frequencies to manifest blocks. This is crazy because when I looked into it at the time, when I first read that, I couldn't find any science that we can even come close to doing anything like that until recently, until about maybe, I think it was 3.5 years ago, scientists for the very first time in a laboratory used photonic energy, light wave energy, and frequencies, cymatic frequencies, sound, to manifest real matter into existence. And this is now peer-reviewed science. Again, we have rediscovered what was talked about in ancient tablets 36,000 years ago, the ability to use waves and cymatics to create solid matter. So not all the stones were created that way. Some were harvested from a quarry, and some were actually manifested into existence. And I believe, in my personal opinion, that just from being underneath the pyramid, being inside the middle of it, being inside the top, I believe that the Great Pyramid, for example, was built from the top down. Hard to believe, hard concept to understand. But what's interesting is one of these X-Men movies that came out, this ancient god, which is supposed to be Thoth, I guess, Amun-Ra, he's building the pyramid from the top down. It's an older one. Maybe it came out 7 years ago or so, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Apocalypse, yeah.
Apocalypse, right, exactly. And I was like, oh my God, I just said this on a video like 2 months ago. It was crazy because that came out. The trailer came out. It was crazy. But there's other ancient texts that talk about, the pyramid coming from the top down.
They knew there is a way to bend the mathematics, which would bend the light and the sound and the scalar waves into a form that could actually repel itself and cut itself off from the natural matrix. It would still exist within the entire matrix, but it would be their own system. They decided they wanted to turn this time matrix into that, which was a direct violation of something called the Emerald Covenant. The Emerald Covenant was the original agreement that the Janus Ascended Masters agreed upon when they decided to create this time matrix together. It was a free will system, and it was built upon the law of one, which is acknowledgement that we are all of the same source, and that loving co-creation is the only sane and natural way of being in an understanding of yourself as part of the one. That was the original tenets and precepts by which this matrix was created. The Elohim of Gate 11 decided that they were going to do it different. They were going to break that covenant, and they were going to destroy the races who wouldn't cooperate with them, and they were going to take it over and run it their way. The only thing standing in their way of doing that were the Elohai Elohim of Gate 12. They could dominate the things lower in coding than them. They could, when push came to shove, use their ability to run higher frequency because they had the D11 coding. The Seraphai Seraphim had D10 coding. So they could, if they wanted to, use that superiority and ability to run frequency to get rid of the draconian races. But they would have a hard time doing it to get rid of the Elohai Elohim races because they had D12 and higher capacity. But there is a way to turn the natural physics of creation in on itself. If you can think of the Cathara grid and the Stargate systems as a conduit of energy, and when energy is coming into the matrix, it spirals down through the primal light and sound fields into D12 and then D11, 10, 9, 8. Now, if you block energy at Gate 11, the energy is still coming in through 12, but it bounces back. And it creates a backflow that amplifies. So you can, and it was theoretic at that point, theoretically, you could sever the connection at Gate 12 and have Gate 11 and down be your own little universe if you wanted to hijack it. That was their idea. It worked. And there was a choice that the Elohai made. There was a choice to defend or to allow. Now, the Elohai knew that they were eternal. Death isn't something that frightened them. They were completely beyond that. They knew that if they were to defend themselves, because they had superior power capacity, that those who attempted to destroy them would literally have the energy bounce back at themselves and literally wipe them out and the systems they were connected to. It would not only take out the Elohim that were posing the challenge, it would take out the Seraphai Seraphim, both the fallen ones, and a group called the Adedikron. The Adedikron were a race of Seraphai Seraphim who had co-governance over Stargate 10, Vega, with the Omicron Draconians. The Adedikrons were the reptilians. There was a difference between the Draconians and the reptilians. The Draconians were the dragon moth people. They were the dinoids. They created dinosaur-like, as opposed to snake-like, as opposed to smaller reptilian. The Omicron dragon moth dinoids were fully involved in the competition for the time matrix. They knew what the Elohim were going to do, and they decided they would do it too. They didn't petition for help. They said, fine, we'll both get rid of them, and then we'll go after each other and see who gets the matrix. But the Adedikron, the reptilians, didn't want to play the game. They were stuck in the Gate 10 system, and they petitioned for help. But because you had Gate 11 and the Elohim in the middle, in between Gate 12 and Gate 10, we weren't able to rescue or get the Adedikron out. So if the decision to defend by simply putting up a shield around Gate 12 was chosen, it would have taken out both Gate 11 and Gate 10, which could have been repaired. It would have taken a long time, but it could have been repaired using Gate 12. But those consciousness that were in those systems would be fragmented back to space dust. They'd still be part of God. as I've said. You can never be not part of God. But races that had beautiful potential, and they'd already come a long way in their evolution. They'd evolved from 950 billion years ago to 250 billion years ago. That's a lot of evolution. And they had reached wondrous things in their own right in certain ways. It was primarily because of the Odedicron, of the reptilians, that the founders chose to allow, knowing they were taking a burden onto themselves. But it was the only way that if they allowed it, they would slowly be able to heal it. They knew a black hole would be created if this were allowed. They tried to talk them out of it, but they didn't want to listen. The Elohim did not want to listen. Instead of defending themselves, they allowed the Elohim to back up gate 11 and reverse it. And that created a backflow, and it literally shattered the divine blueprint and blew up the Stargates in Lyra Aramatena. That would have to be reassembled later using the D13 and higher primal light fields to reset the pattern. It created a black hole system. That black hole system came to be known as Phantom Matrix. Phantom Matrix was originally a part of this time matrix. Phantom Matrix started with simply part of the D11 Avion gate and what was that planetary system or star system, and the D10 Vega Lyra system. But it grew much bigger than was ever intended. When the Phantom Matrix was created by the Anu Elohim, they came to call themselves the Anu Elohim. The Giovanni entity hadn't fully fallen. A portion of that entity had fallen. And because of that, it sent another portion of itself into the matrix to try to rescue the part of itself that had fallen. That was a risky thing to do because, again, it comes down to how much energy is on which side. Normally, an entity would put X amount of itself into the matrix at one time. Well, it already lost a big chunk of itself, so it put more of itself in. And there was a chance that was taken. If that part ended up getting distorted also and wasn't strong enough to pull the others back out, it would make more critical mass of reversed mess in the matrix than what the collective had itself, the Ascended Master Collective had itself. And that is what happened, but it happened in stages. When the original fall happened, the original sin, when Stargate 11 blew up 250 billion years ago and Phantom Matrix was created, there were precautionary things put in motion, knowing that it was going to occur. There was something called the Eye of Brahman that was created at D12.5. Now, that was a little bit beyond the D12 Stargate. The Eye of Brahman was a polarization refraction lens that would allow the primal light fields from the natural to this time matrix to refract through and literally anchor into the Phantom Matrix, to hold it, to give it a structure so it could begin to restructure itself instead of going completely back to space dust. Because what happens when a black hole is created? A template is shattered like a crystal that's crushed with a hammer. It gets twisted, the energy gets twisted and reversed, but if it has any portion of its template that has enough frequency, it can begin to accrete again. What usually happens in a black hole system is it accretes like to like frequency, but is missing pieces, and it isn't able to accrete functionally. So it accretes on a distorted template compared to its original mathematics. The Eye of Brahman was intended to allow the pattern of the natural template of this time matrix to be put back in to Phantom Matrix. So when it began to reaccrete itself and the consciousness began to pull itself together, it would still have, eventually, after it accreted enough, it would have access to getting plugged back in to its original divine blueprint. That was the original intention. So there was a lens, the first eye, the Eye of Brahman, created. And it was created by the Christos founders and the Janus Ascended Masters races in order to give the beings that would be caught in the black hole system an opportunity to re-evolve instead of being, blown back to space dust. And again, it was done primarily because you had several innocent races, but primarily the Odedicron, who had been persecuted by the draconian races progressively more and more. There was no way they could get out of the system, and they had always been in good standing with the Christos founders' races. So there was a commitment made on behalf of them, but also on behalf of the others, because even though the Anu Elohim had gone off on their own tangent and become very dangerous creator gods, they had become anti-creator gods, anti-Christic creator gods, they were still loved, and there was still if there's life, there's hope, hopefully, you know? So it was a decision of love, but it was a decision of accepting, out of love, accepting a huge, massive responsibility. The responsibility of knowing how dangerous this healing experiment could be. Because if it went wrong, if it went bad, it could not only take down this whole matrix, but if it did, that would allow it to have enough frequency where it could begin to poke holes into other time matrices as well. It wasn't a decision that was made by a couple of people. It was a decision that was made through the Ascended Masters Janus councils of various different time matrices that could be directly affected if it went wrong and if it went bad. There was a whole lot of them that didn't want it tried, but there was enough, and it came down to a vote. And it came down to some of the older time matrices that were much older than 950 billion years old, had been through something similar to this long time before, and didn't work. I said, okay, you guys have a good idea, sweet children. You really, really, really want to try it. Now, you know, you've looked at what could happen. The outcome, if it's successful, we will look up to you, because we tried a similar thing when a similar thing happened in our matrices, but it didn't work, and it created absolute havoc. We would have liked for it to work. So, because we would like to know where we went wrong.
They put this video out, I think this morning, something about that I'm claiming that Metatron is evil. And when you actually look at the interview, I never talk about that, not even one mention of Metatron. So what these people are doing is they're actually putting, you know, these shocking statements just to kind of get people to click on the videos and say, oh, I wonder what Ishmael has to say about Metatron. But to give you guys my opinion on Metatron, Archangel Metatron is good. I mean, he's the facilitator of the 15-dimensional time matrix that I've been talking about, you know. In the secret esoteric knowledge, he laid down the foundation for the structure of all universes. He's known as the giver of the outer lights. You know, he works with Melchizedek, I call him the three M's, and Michael, Metatron, Melchizedek, and Michael. However, there is a different Metatron that is a totally different entity that is not related to the original Metatron. And this second Metatron is pretty much the original archon that broke off when the initial explosion, you know, when the one decided to explore more of itself, and then that immaculate conception expanded, or it happened. A chunk of that broke off into the void, and then that became, you know, Lord Ahriman, or the king of the archons. So Lord Ahriman, when he overshadowed one of the 12 archetypes, one in particular by the name of Samana, who became the original Lucifer, he pretty much influenced them to develop the first AI, and this happened during the 11th creation. So, you know, we're part of the 12th creation. So this happened in a creation prior to the existence of our universe, and so on. So what he did is he developed the AI, and in order for that pre-existing archon consciousness to possess and use it as a vehicle, as an avatar, and then later he changed his name from Ahriman, or Archon, king of the archons, to Omega Metatron. So yeah, that's what he calls himself, is Omega Metatron. And the name Omega means the end of life, because when you think of the actual name of Metatron, as I said earlier, is the giver of life. You know, he's the giver of life, in a sense, where he is a cosmic being, facilitator of the outer light that allows for universes to come into structure and form. And then Omega Metatron is the one who destroys the universes. So throughout cosmic history, Omega Metatron has been known as the killer of creator gods, you know, the killer of universes, the destroyer of universes. And in the secret space program or whistleblower community, he has been identified as some sort of an AI god. But, they didn't really know his name until I came into the picture and kind of, filled in the blanks for these guys to reveal what his name was. But yeah, he goes by Omega Metatron. Two different entities, nothing to do with the original Archangel Metatron. All right, Omega Metatron and Archangel Metatron are two separate entities.
I'm looking for questions. All right, so Spiritual 13, Spiritual 13a, Agape 23 says, Lucifer is not Satan, right? Yes, correct. It is not. They're two different entities. Lucifer is not Satan at all. They're two different entities. All right, so somebody says, have you ever heard about the 6 root race? Kent Dunn keeps mentioning them. Absolutely. Okay, so there are a total of 7 root races in which the evolutionary consciousness of our species or humanity evolves during 7 different epochs. So right now we are in the Aryan, we're finishing the Aryan root race, which is the 5th seeding or the 5th age. Before that, we were experiencing the Atlantean root race, which was the 4th epoch or the 4th age. Before that was the Lemurian. Before that was the Hyperborean. And then going back to the beginning of time, when we were a luminous spiritual race without physical forms, we were known as the Polarians. So what's next after the Aryan root race is known as the Merovius root race, which is known as the 6th root race. And then the 6th root race is exactly what Ken Dunn is talking about. It is going to be the emergence of the indigo race. And that's what we are, guys. The starseeds of the earth today, which are 70 million plus strong now on the planet, still in the minority, still a small percentage. However, we are pretty much what the ancient esoteric wisdom calls the rise of the 6th root race, which is going to be a golden age, all right? So we're ending the Aryan root race, and we're going to be beginning the 6th root race. So that's known as the indigo race. And it is going to be characterized by the rise of Homo luminous, humans that are enlightened, that are illuminated, right? Anyhow, I would like to talk about the Emerald Tablets. All right, so the Emerald Tablets are actually shrouded in secrecy. I'm going to go ahead and read some stuff to you guys that I was able to discover regarding the Emerald Tablets. Okay, so picture yourself standing in the heart of ancient Egypt, surrounded by colossal pyramids and enigmatic hieroglyphs. In a hidden chamber, you uncover a set of tablets unlike anything you've ever seen. The Emerald Tablets, crafted from a luminous emerald-like substance, emit an otherworldly glow. Legend has it that they contain the very secrets of creation, whispered into existence by celestial beings eons ago. The secret of secrets is said to be contained in these tablets, okay? As you touch the first tablet, you feel a surge of energy, as if it's alive with cosmic wisdom. These tablets are not mere stone and script. They are living repositories of esoteric knowledge. The secrets they guard is not a mere whisper. It's a cosmic roar, a resonance that echoes through time and space, beckoning those who dare to seek the mysteries of the universe. All right, so what are the Emerald Tablets? And who were they written by? Of course, according to the Emerald Tablets themselves, and according to what conventional history says, is that they were written by no other than Thoth the Atlantean. Now let's dive deep into Thoth the Atlantean. All right, so Thoth the Atlantean supposedly existed in Atlantean times and even after the Atlantean cataclysm. And according to, the, records that were presented to us, he was the entity who was responsible for the esoteric wisdom and knowledge that we know today in a post-Atlantean era, all right? So he was the personage who supposedly was able to access a lot of the ancient mystery school teachings and was able to, again, publish it or put it forth in a series of what is known as 12 tablets, okay? Now, when you study other records, it actually, the story sounds a little different. Okay, so let's take into account that there were other different epochs of human civilizations, advanced human civilizations that existed even before Atlantean times. Okay, and there is evidence and record that civilizations have actually been on this planet for millions upon millions upon millions of years. Okay, as the truth is now being restored to the earth. So what if I tell you that Thoth himself took information that already existed prior to Atlanteans that could be traceable back to Lemurian times? And if you want to go further than that, you could actually trace the original, you could say, records known as the CDT plates that were depositories left behind by the Emerald Order when they still were on the earth during the Hyperborean epoch or the Hyperborean age. So we could say that the original tablets or the original CDT plates could actually be traced back to millions upon millions of years ago before Atlantis and Lemuria, back to the age of Hyperborea, when the celestials, our true ancestors, roamed the earth. Okay, so this was around a time where the original angelic humans seeding, the 12 strand Terranusian race, was in existence. Okay, who are our real ancestors, by the way. Okay, so the Terranusian race was the race that was pretty much the divine seeding that took place upon the earth during the second root race known as Hyperborea. Before the second root race, we have the Polarian root race, which was an advanced spiritual race that was not yet physical, but luminal. Okay, so this was approximately 30 to 40 million years ago. Okay, that's how long civilizations have been here. So in this process known as descent, right, from spirit or luminous state of reality into a solid, more physical condensed state of reality, that's what gave birth to the Hyperborean age. So that's why in our original physical, our ancestors rather, in their original physical makeup, they were immortals. Okay, they were immortals and they lived forever. Okay, so I'm starting to understand that Thoth had access to the original CDT plates of the Emerald Order, hence the Emerald Tablets. So he did obviously call them the Emerald Tablets because he took that information from the Emerald original manuscripts that were on holographic disc known as the CDT plates. Okay, those plates were actually deposited into our earth during the second root race or Hyperborean age, known as the land of Hyperborea. And I believe that the negative or fallen angels, also known as the reptilians, actually sought to seek those records, and that's how it ended up getting into the hands of Thoth. And if we could also relate Thoth to Enki as one of the sons of Enki, obviously Thoth was a reptilian. He had reptilian in him, and of course he was a quarter celestial, perhaps Syrian, but he was mostly reptilian. He was one of the sons of Enki, and if you don't believe me, he was the same figure that also influenced the Mesoamerican cultures, the original Mayans. Okay, so he came over to the Americas, okay, and he established some sort of ritual practice with the Mayans, or the ancient indigenous people of Mesoamerica. And this is what I believe that he did. He corrupted them, and that's how human sacrifices came into existence in Mesoamerica, thousands and thousands of years ago, because of what Thoth did. Thoth was known as Quetzalcoatl to the indigenous people of Mesoamerica, right, to the Aztecs. He was known as Kukulkan, all right, the same son of Enki, who stole information from the original Emerald, again, holographic disc that could be traceable back to the age of Hyperborea. Okay, so what are some of the things that are revealed in the supposedly restored Emerald tablets? Well, first of all, Thoth only had access to 11 CDT plates. He, for whatever reason, I believe that the Guardian races prohibited from having access to the 12 CDT holographic discs because if he would have had access to that, they would have pretty much, they would have sucked our reality into the, phantom matrix time looped anomaly that the negative entities through the black hole technologies have been trying to suck our reality into. So I strongly believe that Thoth was an infiltration, okay? And he only took, yes, he took a lot of the esoteric wisdom regarding our true essence as spiritual luminous beings, and how, you know, we were able to become who we are today as a result of this descent. But at the same time, he left a lot of information that was secretly meant for members of his lineage, or cabal, as we call them, who took some of that information in order to create what we call today the New World Order. So the New World Order isn't something new. You know, this is a concept that was actually developed by the forces that took over after the fall of Atlantis, as we entered the new era, okay? And a lot of this information was encrypted in the emerald tablets that were given by Thoth. So apparently there is those tablets, it's a lot of confusion there because they took a lot of spiritual knowledge from the original CDT plates and they added their own information in order for it to be used by the Babylonian bloodlines of the Cabal families, okay, guys? So what are some of the things that were revealed as far as like the ancient mystery school teachings? Well, of course, you know, one of the things that was revealed is the fact that there are different planes of reality, different dimensions. And so this information isn't nothing new, okay? They also revealed the 7 Hermetic principles. Of course, you know, the Greeks believed that Thoth was Hermes, or the reincarnated Hermes Trismegistus, all right, which was supposed to be a combination of Hermes, the son of Zeus, and Thoth, reincarnated in Greek times, okay? So that's what they wanted us to believe. And some of the information therein was about what? Initiation rites, how to achieve immortality through the power of the secrets of soul regeneration, and how to integrate the other subtle aspects of ourselves into the physical, right? Like our energy body, our astral body, our mental causal body, and then of course our 5 energetic vehicles known as the Akka body of light, the electromagnetic body of light, the Zorha body of light, what is it called? The Gematrian body of light, and then of course the Overself Christ conscious body of light, or the Overself, which is known as the Overself Christ conscious. But they also twisted some of that information. So a lot of the esoteric knowledge was actually only left for a selective few, while the majority of the people didn't have access to this information. So this is how the modern day secret societies drew information from. This is how they came into existence, because of what was revealed in those esoteric mystery school teachings that came from the emerald tablets, okay? Now, nobody has access to the real emerald tablets, by the way. The only tablets that we have access to are just basically the tablets that reveal common esoteric knowledge, such as the 7 Hermetic principles, talking about Venus and its relationship to the earth as higher spheres of reality. Of course, astrology, the natal chart, and all that stuff. And we read about this stuff in, other people's works, like Manly P. Hall. He kind of sums it all up in The Secret Knowledge of All Ages. Madame Helena Blavatsky, again, another person who delved into the esoteric knowledge of the emerald tablets and the Hermetic principles to create her own school of study known as Theosophy. So what we're seeing here is just a lot of we're seeing they're trying to reinvent the wheel of something that had already existed in prior times, okay? And everybody's adding their own story to this information. So throughout history, right, you had 2 fields of study. You have had the inner mysteries, or the esoteric tradition that was given to a selective few, in terms of members of secret societies. And then you had the exoteric tradition that was given to the masses, right? The people that were supposed to only have a general understanding about our reality while hiding the inner esoteric wisdom. Well, some of the, principles that have been revealed by the emerald tablets are, for instance, the 7 principles or the 7 hermetic principles. And I'm sure that, at one point you guys probably read about this or heard about this, but this is, again, they're taking real spiritual universal laws and they're mixing it with other things. But I do want to cover the 7 hermetic principles because these are actually universal laws that govern our overall reality. For instance, there is the principle of materialism. Imagine a universe where thoughts are tangible, where the act of thinking shapes the very reality around you. The Emerald Tablets describe a realm where the mind is the ultimate alchemist, where thoughts are the philosopher's stone, and where imagination is the brush that paints the canvas of existence. Within these talents, you find the blueprints of unlocking the boundless potential of your own mind. Okay, so there is the principle of correspondence, okay? According to the principle of correspondence, stand beneath the starry sky and see constellations align with patterns in your own life. The Emerald Tablets introduce you to a fantastical web of correspondence where galaxies mirror the movements of atoms and the language of the cosmos is encoded in the pattern of nature. As you decode these cosmic correspondence, you realize that you hold the keys to unlocking the hidden truths. So these are accurate principles that govern all reality, guys, okay? We are, our life is determined in a way how we implement these principles on a daily basis, whether you know it or not, by default or through intention. And then you have the principle of vibration, which is the secret of what? Of manifestation, right? Everybody talks about the law of attraction, but nobody talks about the law of vibration, which is synonymous. It says, close your eyes and listen. Beyond the audible, there is a symphony of vibrations that shape reality itself. The Emerald Tablets reveals that the universe hums with a vibrational harmony, a celestial orchestra conducted by the hand of creation. You are not merely a spectator, but a musician in this cosmic symphony capable of attuning our own vibrations to the rhythms of the cosmos.